more. What's going on, movie fans? Welcome back to the JBuck Studios channel, your home for reviews, reactions, and ridiculousness. Anyways, though, we are finishing out January, you know, the toilet bowl in a sense of movies. And I went out and saw the new Hansel and Gretel, but actually Gretel and Hansel. A girl and her younger brother unwittingly stumble upon the house of an evil witch in the dark woods. So is this reimagining of the grim fairy tale worth the watch? Let's find out. But before I get into my thoughts, let me know what you guys thought of Gretel and Hansel, if you were able to already check this film out, or if you're looking forward to it this weekend. Now let's get into some of the good. So people familiar with me and this channel and whatnot, I'm not a big horror fan, but I walked out of this Gretel and Hansel film thinking it was a fairly decent horror film, and some people are kind of praising Oz Perkins for his previous work. I'm not too familiar with it, but what he did in this Gretel and Hansel kind of reimagining, I thought worked fairly well. And watching this film, I didn't know why. I mean, probably 15 minutes in, I'm wondering why I'm so uneasy. You know, something isn't right. And then it finally clicked. The sides of the screen are shrunken a little bit, so it brings this uneasy feel while you're watching the film, but also the framing that is done in this film is, I mean, it's almost, I wouldn't say masterclass, but you got to give some notice to the framing in this movie, because everything is borderline symmetrical, everything is right in the middle of the frame. And the fact that once you figure this out, and it's very much there, it brings this eerie feeling to the movie. So just the way that this movie was made for this eerie feeling while watching it. But also adding into that, obviously, a horror film following the Hansel and Gretel story and this evil witch and whatnot. The atmosphere, the characters, kind of everything that they worked with was, again, adding to this creepy, eerie feeling throughout the film. So I thought what they did there with the different elements, switching things up, making things borderline not like jump scare horror type, but more kind of psychological, supernatural horror. And I thought that they did a great job of, again, making it a creepy film. And the cherry on top of this delicious treat that you're just gonna eat up is the borderline, I wouldn't say 80s, it's more synth score that's running throughout this film. You know, it's a horror film, so you're wanting some kind of scary, haunting background music and score that leads you through this film, and they chose to go with this synth score, and believe me, it is haunting, it adds to the tone, it's very much its own character, and leads you through this film. And it's not overbearing, it's not like, you know, 80s synth where it's very noticeable. It's more of, I would relate it to, and I hate to do this, but Stranger Things. You know, it has that synth background score that leads you through these eerie, creepy images. So I thought that that was done fairly well as well. However, getting into the meat of this story is the story. I mean, obviously it's following the brief outline of what Hansel and Gretel, you know, the fairy tale that we're all familiar with, but there's a lot of changes that they do. It's very much, they kind of take the name, a little bit of the framework, and go off and do their own thing. And I think that it was a fairly well done story, but it does meander a bit, it does leave a lot of questions unanswered, and I thought that they were going for something great, and unfortunately I don't think that they landed it. Again, it's a decent horror film, but I didn't think that it entirely landed. And again, this cast, very small and whatnot, but the kid playing Hansel, Leakey, I believe. That's a funny name for some reason. You know, again, a child actor. I didn't think that his lines, his delivery, the conversations between him and the Gretel character really entirely landed. It took me out a little bit, but again, he is only a part of the film. It very much focuses on Gretel, as you could tell from the title. Overall, Gretel and Hansel is, you know, this reimagining of this classic grim fairy tale, and I thought that it was a delicious treat. With it featuring this eerie framing, creepy atmosphere, and wonderful synth background score, but with, you know, the story not exactly landing for myself, and a few line delivery by Mr. Leakey not entirely working. I mean, for a January movie, and if you're a horror fan, I'd recommend checking this film out. Again, I was expecting a little bit, maybe I had went into this film with low expectations, came out, thought that this was a well done, you know, interesting take on this classic fairy tale. In closing, I'm going to give Gretel and Hansel 3 out of 5 pig out scenes. So what did you guys think of Gretel and Hansel? If you were already able to check this film out, or if you're now looking forward to it this weekend, let me know in the comments down below. Anyways though, as always, thank you so much for watching. Watch some more videos up there or right over there. You know, tomorrow I'm actually going to do an ending explained poorly for this movie, so stay tuned for that. There's another one right over there for The Turning that came out last weekend. People are loving it. I put a lot of work into it. Go and check that out. Follow all of my social media, click that like button, subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video, and until next time, we'll see you later.